This is session number 4 of the Sales Mastermind podcast. Today in the hot seat is Monacoa. Hit the music. Hello and welcome to the Sales Mastermind podcast. Get ready to harness the power of the Mastermind community and take your sales to the next level. I'm your host, Jonathan Stewart. Before we get into today's question, I wanted to talk about 2 quick things. The first is to remind you guys that this is the official podcast of the Sales Mastermind community on Facebook. We would love to have you to be a part of that and continue the conversation. You can go to salespurpose.com/community and request to join right there. The second thing I want to remind you guys is if you want your question about sales and marketing featured on the podcast, you can just simply go to salespurpose.com, click on the podcast link on the menu, and you're going to be able to leave us a question either by voicemail on the phone through the SpeakPipe plugin, or you can email me a question as well, and we'll get that featured here on the podcast. Today's question comes from Monacoa on Instagram. She asked, what are some practical ways to build a consumer-provider relationship when you have an online business and aren't meeting people face-to-face? I'm really excited you asked this question, and it's a question that is definitely going to be helpful not only for you but also for the other people that listen to this podcast and also those in the Sales Mastermind community. What I like to think about is when you're building relationships with people that you're not seeing face-to-face, it really represents a challenge. The challenge is you have to be able to infuse as much of your personality as you can into every customer interaction. So if you think about this, people don't build relationships as much with companies. You may like a company, you may follow a company, and you may be invested in a company. Maybe you think of a company like Apple, maybe like Tesla, where they have raving fans, people that really love the product, but in a sense, you can't really build a relationship with a brand. But you can build a relationship with a person. So you are the person behind your brand. How can you infuse your personality into every interaction that you have so that people can actually build a relationship with you, the face of the brand? And so that's really what you got to think about. You cannot physically meet every single person. There might be some opportunities for you to meet these people, and I encourage you to do that as much as you can. But since you are selling online, you're not going to be able to go meet everyone. And so you're going to have to come up with some very practical ways to do that. And so I do have 9 tips that we're going to go over to answer your question of how to build this relationship. So I just recently found out that my sales territory is more than doubled. And it's going to cover not only Southern California, but I'm covering Arizona, parts of Nevada, and also a little bit of New Mexico. And so there's a lot more sales territory that I'm covering, and I'm not going to be able to go see everyone. And so some of the things that I'm going to be talking about here are things that I'm going to be using in my sales territory, really to kind of automate some processes, to multiply my time, to give that personal touch and that relationship that a manager would give, but not have to be everywhere because it would just be impossible for one person. So here are some practical ways to infuse your personality into your consumer-provider relationship. The first one is to make sure that you use a lot of stories related to your campaigns, your newsletters, and on any emails that you send out, and make sure these stories kind of give a little bit of a background on you. So you want them to know who you are. People like to relate to people. So use that story method to do this. So anytime that you have an email, you want to give a little bit of a personal story about yourself, maybe a little bit of your background. Obviously, you don't want it to be all about you, but you do want them to know who you are. You want to build that relationship with them. The second thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and survey your customers. So you want to find out what their desires are, what they're worrying about, what they're having problems with. If you can survey them and find this out, then you're going to be able to serve them in a way that actually means a lot to them. Find out what are their needs, their wants, and their desires, and they'll be a little bit different for each customer. And then you want to segment your customers into these different lists. Now, the purpose of this is so that when you do send communications, whether that be via email or whether that be when you're actually calling them physically or following up on a purchase or for customer service issues, that you'll know exactly what segment they fall in. So you want to segment these customers. A great tool that you can use as far as email goes to segment these and to make sure that you send them pertinent information is a company called ConvertKit. If you go to ConvertKit.com, you can check this out. But this program very easily allows you to segment your customers into either things that they opted into or things that they purchased or things that you have noticed they're interested in. You can segment these customers so that way any future emails that you send out only go to the people who are interested in these things. So survey your customers, find out their wants and needs, desires, and then segment them so that you give them the information that they desire and nothing more. Another third tip to build this relationship would be to consider doing a Ask Me themed email series, or you might consider even a podcast of sorts that allows people to get to know you better and allows them to ask you questions. So you may ask, as a salesperson, why would this benefit me? And really what it comes down to is we like to do business with people that we know, people that we like, and the more they can know about you, the more chance they are to like you. And so have some kind of opportunity for them to be able to ask you. Not only ask questions about yourself, but maybe even ask questions about business, about your particular niche, just whatever might be related. Let them ask you questions. And it also puts you in the position of expert, and that's a good position to be in when you're selling a product. The fourth tip I want to give you is to give them very actionable content that they can use to get very quick wins. This is a topic that I've heard from several different people, but in order to get people engaged, you don't want to give them a list of 150 things that you must do to be successful. They're going to be overwhelmed, and they're not going to do it. But if you instead give them one little quick tip to help them to get a quick win, then your advice will give them success, and then they'll naturally look to you for more advice. You're going to become that person they know, they like, and they trust because you've helped them have success in the past. This will get people looking to you for advice. The fifth piece of advice that I have for you is to always exceed their expectations and do some unexpected things. So you've always heard the term to underpromise and overdeliver, and in a sense, that's what this is talking about. The sixth way that you can build this relationship without being in front of them face-to-face is to build some kind of community around your product or service. There's going to be a tribe that builds up because you'll have other people who are also fans of your product. They'll be able to communicate, and they'll be able to talk to other people who are also fans of your product or service, and it'll build a wonderful community. The easiest way, I think, to do this would be simply by using Facebook. Facebook has a very easy way to set up groups, and then you can invite people who are interested through your different communications. And then once you get people in this Facebook community, you'll be able to insert in your advice and your questions and your answers and different things, but also the community will be able to communicate together, and it'll just build a nice, loyal following and help this relationship. And you'll be able to connect people with other people that are into the same thing that they're in. The seventh tip I want to give you is to surprise people with unexpected stuff. So one of the ways that you can do this doesn't have to actually cost you really anything except for a little bit of time. One of the things that one of the people that I like to follow, Pat Flynn, does is once a month or so, he'll surprise somebody by reaching out to them and saying, hey, would you like to do a Skype call? And so he'll surprise somebody, and somebody will be able to do a Skype call with him, and he'll just kind of discuss things with them, talk to them. And then some of the things he'll ask is also, how is your experience with my website, or how's your experience with this particular product? And he'll also get some feedback from them. Not only do the people love this person interaction, and it helps build that relationship, but it also gives him good feedback and allows him to serve his customers more. Definitely check him out over at smartpassiveincome.com. Definitely recommend his resources. Very good to listen to. But unexpected stuff. That could be calls, that could be emails, that could be personal interactions. You could physically mail somebody a card if you had their address, or you might offer some kind of gift to somebody just randomly. The eighth way, and this is something that is very important, is to make sure you're active on social media. Now, I do want to preface this by saying don't be active just to sell product to people, but use social media as a way to build a relationship. many times it's easy to use social media as just another way to advertise your product. And while it can be effective, and while you can use it this way, if you overuse this, people won't be engaged and you won't have a loyal following. So instead of just using it as a advertising means, use it as a way for people to get to know you as a person, as the face behind the brand. Some of the ones that I find most effective right now are Snapchat, Periscope, and Instagram. Now, you'll still want a presence on Twitter. You'll still want a presence on Facebook, but I would really focus in on Snapchat, Periscope, and Instagram. And really, the three, while they're very effective, they're very different in a lot of ways. So, for instance, with Periscope, if you haven't used that before, go check it out. But you simply are able to broadcast live video to any of your followers. And you can just do simple things like behind the scenes or updates. And then maybe at the end you do mention a link or a special that's going on. But you can really provide content, value, and relationship building through this live video feed. The other one I'm really beginning to love is Snapchat. So Snapchat has a feature to where you can send out to your followers what they call stories. And it's just really snapshots of your day. So you could take a quick little picture of what you had for breakfast and make a little caption for it. And then you can shoot a quick little video about your workout for the morning. And maybe you could do a couple more videos throughout the day of different things that you've done and a couple more pictures. And you can mix this all together with 10-second videos, snapshots, and different things to just kind of tell a quick story about your day. And it's a very cool way for people to just quickly follow you and quickly get to know you. And then the other one that I find very effective is Instagram. So Instagram, of course, is a great way just to share pictures. 1 or 2 little pictures a day, different things that happened. Quotes are very popular. So maybe an inspirational quote you could do daily. And it'll just get people following you and looking forward to your content. So be very active on social media, specifically those 3 that I mentioned. And the last thing, this 9th tip, is really just kind of overall tip for all this together is use technology to automate this. So, when I've been going through these things, a lot of them take time, and you may say, I don't have time to do this and sell my product and take care of customer service and so on. But what you can do is you can automate a lot of this process. So there's automation software out there for your social media where you can pre-populate a lot of content and then post it. So that'll be key. Another way you can automate a lot of this is to use email service providers like ConvertKit, to where they automatically send out emails based on certain triggers, and that when new people sign up, it automatically does different things that you set up, different rules that you set up, and that can save you a lot of time. And then just another way, just a non-technology way to save yourself some time when we're talking about efficiency here, is to make sure that you batch things and to also make sure that you double use things. So what people are doing a lot is, let's say you're interviewed on a podcast or you're interviewed on something. Well, why don't you go ahead and have that be on Periscope too? So you can set your Periscope up so that way your Periscope followers can watch you as you get interviewed on a podcast, or while you're doing a podcast, or while you're doing a behind-the-scenes thing that you're already doing, then you can go ahead and use Periscope to do that. Or if you're doing a behind-the-scenes, you're already doing the particular projects, you're already doing the particular tasks anyway, but you're just simply taking a few pictures throughout the process. Same thing with the Instagram. So it doesn't necessarily have to take a lot of extra time with some of these more active social media outlets, but you just got to be smart with how you use it. So I hope these things were helpful for you, and I hope that these tips will help you, not only you, Monacoa, but also those listeners here. Just, help build that relationship to customers that you don't have physical interaction with. I do want to remind you that this question will be posted over on the Sales Mastermind community on Facebook. We invite you, as we mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, to join. We'd love for you to be a part of that and to continue the conversation. We also ask you, if you want to ask your question, go over to salespurpose.com, click on the podcast link up in the menu above. And then also, we are a newer podcast, and we would really appreciate those of you who listen if you would go over to iTunes and leave an honest review about how this podcast has been helpful to you. That will help get the word out to other people that could use this information as well. And so we want to thank you so much. As always, we'll put the show notes on the Sales Purpose blog. If you just go to salespurpose.com session 004. Then you'll be able to find all the notes for this particular podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to serving you on another podcast, and we'll see you then. Thank you for listening to the Sales Mastermind podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes below for any resources or sites mentioned in the podcast. Also be sure to subscribe and join the Facebook community to continue the conversation. Here's to your success.